technical talks, which it will have to because Donald Trump can't talk about nuclear reactors, nor can Steve Witkoff, nor can the Iranian foreign minister. Teams have to be brought in, as they were for the JCPOA. Then we could have a deal. We could have a long time to get to the verification regime, maybe 6 months to a year, but we could have a deal, which would be good because there wouldn't be no war. And that's what we want, is no war. But my problem is Kim Jong-un, it's Ukraine, it's Trump doesn't seem to have the discipline and the staying power, even though maybe Witkoff does, that he needs to do a deal like this. And that's what concerns me. It's much easier to turn to the bombs and the bullets.
What I would say that as well, even though the talks are supposed to happen, I don't think Israel wants peace until Iran is probably destroyed, like Syria and Iraq was. And the reason I say that is because of the fact Iran does not need a nuclear weapon. Their conventional weapons can do harm. And that is what Israel fears. They want total control of not only greater Israel, but a large majority of the Middle East.
Yeah, you've all been lied to with regard to the exchanges back in October and in April between Israel and Iran. Israel did not really do much damage to Iran at all. That's why they did not come back with an immediate response. They ran into a buzzsaw of Russian air defense facilities. You should hear some of the chatter between their F-35 pilots, for example. They would not penetrate what I would call the danger area, where the F-35, and for that matter, the other aircraft too, should have been relatively invulnerable because they couldn't understand what was happening. And what was happening with S-400s were painting them. Russian best air defense systems in the world were painting them. And so they launched their weapons from outside the optimum zone to launch them. And as a result, they didn't hit very much. So the Iranians didn't strike back. You know, they said they would, but they didn't because they weren't hurt very badly. If we go now and we go full force with what we could put on them, it'll be a different situation. We will not, in my view, get their nuclear system. We won't. It's too far underground. It's too sophisticated. But we will do a lot of damage and we'll make them mad as hell. And they have the ability to strike Saudi Arabian oil facilities, strike our base at Al Udeid, strike into Saudi Arabia and other places like Military City, where we have other airfields, strike our naval facilities on Bahrain. They can make a real mess if they want to. And then we would have no choice but probably to invade. So it's really not a very good scenario if you go beyond these talks in a military way.
And just as an example, I know you want to get another question. I think you had one. Yeah. But we have examples. You know, all you have to do is look at, and when Iran say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. Soleimani, that was the head of the Israeli, I see his head shakes there. When we assassinated him, we assassinated him.
Under Trump.
They said that we were going to come after, they said they were going to come after us. And they hit a base in Iraq with American troops. If it wasn't for the Iraqis warning us, we would have lost a lot of lives. And those were ballistic missiles. And they warned Iraq, and then Iraq warned us. Another example, when they say they were hit back in Israel, they did, and they did more damage than what the press released. And it's understandable. Israel's not going to say that because you don't want them to know the battle damage assessment. You don't want them to know what harm they did. But I can tell you, Iran did a lot of damage, close to the Mossad headquarters at that, too.
This morning, the Rehabilitation Division of the Israeli Defense Force released the first figures on Israeli casualties since October the 7th in Gaza alone, not including Lebanon and not including on the West Bank. They were 16,500 wounded. That's the real indication of modern warfare, is the wounded, not the killed, because medical evacuation is so good today, and the Israelis are operating on interior lines. They don't even have to move their people more than about 19 clicks in the max. Usually they don't have to move them more than about 1,000 meters, and they're at a battlefield surgical hospital. So that's a huge indicator that they are not, Bibi Netanyahu's objective, strategically being destroyed. They simply are not. being destroyed, the Hamas, I mean. The other figure they released was that 7,500 of the Israeli Defense Force ground troops are suffering from dramatic post-traumatic stress. Well, that tells you two things, one of which is not good, but it's positive at least, and the other is very negative. One, it tells you again how big the IDF's casualties are. And two, what happens when you pull the PTSD soldiers off the battlefield is you're left with the cretins. Because the reason you get post-traumatic stress is you have a conscience. So these people are the people who at least followed the laws of war and didn't kill women and children and babies and so forth. Now what you have on the battlefield are Ben Gavirs and Smotriches and their equivalents, really bad people. So at the same time, Hamas has reconstituted itself. Its figures now are 40,000 fighters. This morning, one of the CNN guys was poo-pooing that and saying, well, they're young kids and all this stuff. Each one of them has a Kalashnikov and at least 20 rounds of ammunition has been taught how to shoot it. So you got 40,000 people out there that are going to shoot at you, and you are down to now having 2,000 Air Force join in signing a letter. You got 300, Unit 8200, their most exclusive, secretive intelligence entity that have signed a letter. And Bibi Netanyahu is calling them all traitors. And they're essentially signing these letters saying you aren't concerned with the hostages. And until you're concerned with the hostages, we're not going to fight for you anymore. Mm-hmm. So there's a real problem in Israel right now. It's self-created. They've made their own hell.
Omar, if you let me make one more comment. When I was talking about using your own critical thinking to think about this for a moment, I stated earlier that I've been pushed to say, oh, 9/11 was an inside job. I don't know that. And I'm not going to say that. I don't know. But there were some in the Pentagon that were happy. Likewise, as I stated earlier, this is something, what's happening right now in Gaza, shamefully, this is something that Bibi Netanyahu has always wanted to do. Now, you've heard it yourself. There are some that says Israel let October 7th happen. Now, I don't know that, but just think about this for a moment. Go back and look. October the 7th, America, is our 9/11. October the 7th is our Pearl Harbor. Guess what? This is my excuse now to do what I've always wanted to do.
And Bibi uses that all the time with American audiences.
There you go.
That. He talks about 9/11. He says, you did it.
You did it.
So why can't I do it? Well, we did it, but we didn't kill women and children and babies and everything intentionally.
There you go.